Vikings 23, 49ers 17. I just left the San Francisco locker room here at US Bank Stadium where a weird game transpired. 49ers had over 400 yards of total offense despite going 3 of 13 on third and fourth downs, which is yet another exhibit of evidence toward raw yardage doesn't matter all that much. You've got to be efficient with that yardage, and I don't think that the 49ers were today. Those third and fourth downs, 3 of 13, included 6 sacks and 2 giveaways. So the Brock Purdy interception, try to fit it into that tight window to Kyle Juszczyk, and then the Brock Purdy fumble. I'll tell you what, I'm down on the field right now. It's warm here. It's 86 degrees outside in Minnesota. We're under a roof. But, I'm guessing they have air conditioning in this building. Otherwise, it'd be a total greenhouse. But it still isn't on full blast. So I'm wondering if the football might have gotten a little bit slick. I'm still trying to figure out what happened on that play. Glad that Brock Purdy isn't hurt. We saw something similar with Joe Burrow last year when he wasn't able to grip a football. Ended up being a hand ligament. But Brock Purdy's healthy. That just was an unfortunate play for the 49ers when the ball slipped out of his hands, and just an unfortunate performance for this team. Struggled offensively on those third and fourth downs, and then Minnesota just victimized them on third down today. The Vikings were 7 of 12 on third down. So when one team goes 2 of 10, the other team goes 7 of 12 on third down. It's going to be hard to win if you're not the team on the right side of that statistic. In the locker room, I talked to a lot of 49ers defensive backs about what the hell went wrong, especially on the Justin Jefferson 97-yard touchdown. As you might imagine, having a safety, they had George Odom covering Jefferson out at the slot, and then they had Jair Brown charged with the coverage over the top. As you might imagine, it wasn't a good setup for the 49ers, probably one that they regret. Jair Brown didn't play it correctly over the top, and based on what I gathered, Sam Darnold was able to prey on the 49ers' tendencies that he knew defensively, on the safety tendencies that he learned while he was a quarterback with the 49ers last year on the play. Jair Brown obviously bit too close to a shorter route, and Sam Darnold aired it out over the top to Justin Jefferson. So many failures for the 49ers on that play. That came right after they were unable to pick up a first down, or were unable to score a touchdown on fourth down near the goal line. I took little issue with Shanahan's decision to go for it there. I don't think that he had built in a 97-yard score the other way into his plan of possibilities on that play. If you go for it on fourth down, you obviously are acknowledging the risk of not making it. And if you don't make it, then you would hope that you could generate something positive from your defense with the offense backed up against its own goal line. And the 49ers obviously got the complete opposite when that 97-yard touchdown pass hit. So I think that was also a foreshadowing of the problems to come for the secondary. Late in the game, and this might be even more vexing for the 49ers DBs, Justin Jefferson was hurt. He was out. The Vikings were already missing Jordan Addison, and the 49ers had cut the lead to 6. All they had to do was get a stop on third down, yet even without Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Sam Darnold continued converting third downs to the point where it was a 14-play Vikings drive to essentially put the game away. So, at that point, it reminded me a lot of the 2021 game in Tennessee when the 49ers just couldn't get off the field against Ryan Tannehill. I know I mentioned that in the instant reaction. 2021 saw quite a few of those games because the secondary just wasn't good that year, including the NFC Championship game against the Rams. So what the 49ers did is they went out and they tried to improve their defensive backfield. And they signed Charvarius Ward. They, of course, before this season have added even more pieces to the defensive backfield to the point where we've entered the season saying that this is the most talented group of corners that the 49ers have had under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Unfortunately, the results have not showed up yet over the course of the first 2 weeks. Remember, they struggled on some third downs, especially early against the Jets, and there obviously were some struggles on the third downs today where Minnesota went 7 of 12. So that's something San Francisco is going to have to clean up. I mentioned the issue on the deep pass to Justin Jefferson was a safety issue, but obviously you got to leverage that cornerback talent against the best receivers. I think Charvarius Ward said if he'd have it his way, he'd follow the best receivers around all game, and maybe that's adjustment the 49ers make starting next week where they face Cooper Kupp and the Los Angeles Rams. Good news for San Francisco is there's a lot of season left to make the adjustments they need to make, because today all three phases were just too sloppy. We've talked so much about the secondary's issues, but the offense, it's picking up yardage, but it still isn't consistently delivering at those critical moments, which end up being 3rd and 4th down or the red zone right near the goal line. Remember that they struggled to punch it in against the Jets too, so they still need to figure out a way to make sure that they click when it absolutely matters most. I think a little bit more separation will help. This has always been a separation over protection team, and by that I mean the 49ers don't have the strongest pass protecting offensive line, but they rely on the separation of their skill position players, from Christian McCaffrey to Brandon Ayuk to Deebo Samuel. I mean, even if he's not as good of a separator per se as somebody like Ayuk or somebody like Christian McCaffrey, Samuel's a weapon downfield that you can rely on to make some of those contested catches and bowl over defenders, so you can get rid of the ball quicker, so you don't have to protect for nearly as long. But when the separation's been a little bit off, obviously no McCaffrey on the field, with Brandon Ayuk saying today in the locker room that he's about 80 to 85% what he normally is. He's working back toward full-time conditioning. With that separation a little bit off, it seems there's been a lot of strain for the offense to hit the 400-yard mark. And the strain turns into failure when the field is compressed. Field is typically compressed right near the goal line in the red zone, and the field is also typically compressed on 3rd and 4th downs when the defense can really step up and target its efforts to stop a particular play. And especially Brian Flores, Minnesota defensive coordinator, you have to give him a lot of credit. Some of the exotic blitzes that he dialed up, you're not really sure where Harrison Smith is going to be on the field. Van Ginkel, the linebacker, really good player as well. It seemed like he knew one of the 49ers plays, that late screen that they tried to throw to Deebo Samuel. He almost jumped it and intercepted the pass as if he knew what was coming. So Minnesota was ready in those crucial moments against the 49ers, who just have not been able to skate easily offensively at this season. But I think that's something you can bet on changing as the year progresses and this offense continues to find its stride. That being said, Fred Warner, legendary performance. He was disappointed in some plays that he left on the field today, but he single-handedly kept the 49ers in this game with the interception, with the forced fumble. Only Aaron Jones' second career forced fumble. End of the day, the 49ers did not suffer any injuries, at least immediately. Maybe there'll be a check-in that yields some injury information that we don't know yet when they get back to the Bay Area. But for the time being, the San Francisco 49ers feel that they left this game with a clean injury bill. And to be honest, that's the most important piece of news coming out of this Week 2 game, because it's Week 2. They still have a lot left to play. They're 1-1 heading to LA to play the Rams, and if they can stay healthy, then this 49ers team has the talent to come out on top of the NFC again. They just have to continue improving the parts of their game that are deficient, and 3rd down was definitely an issue, especially on that defensive side of the ball today. Could not get off the field down the stretch. But that's what they'll think about on the flight home from Minneapolis as they circle the wagons. And now they'll have a full week of rest ahead of Sunday's game against the Rams.